Hello. Today we're going to talk about Pandas. Pandas is a very popular Python library that you can add to your Python toolkit. And Pandas is very popular for data analysis. So if that's something that you have an interest in working with, Pandas is definitely something very important for you to learn and be able to manipulate data sets using the Pandas library. So Pandas has a website, pandas.pydata.org, where you can find a lot of information about how to install Pandas locally and other user guide, reference material, some information about Pandas, and you can download the most recent version of Pandas. I encourage you to take a look at the user guide. There is a whole bunch of information here, and it can be very overwhelming at the first time that you're really looking at this, but I would encourage you to take what you're going to learn through this topic that we're covering. We're going to just learn the basics, and you can then take this beyond that if you are interested in learning more or feel that this is something that could improve your career options down the line. So we're going to look at this 10 minutes to Pandas, and this is something where they will walk you through a bunch of different syntax to work with what is known as the data frame. So Pandas kind of builds out a data frame, which should look familiar to those of you who've used Excel spreadsheets or database tables in the past. And it is basically a list of records or rows of data that are separated into columns or fields. So again, if you have that experience, each column has a particular data type associated with it, whether that is a text or numeric or date, something like that. And the data frame using Pandas allows you to easily access that data without having to use loops and work through the Python programming language to output and manipulate that data. So so bear with me as we learn a little bit about Pandas and experiment with some data. The first thing to note is, where do I get data? So there are so many amazing places that you can find data. I'm going to show you a couple today. One of them is put out by the US government, data.gov, and there are, as of today, 218,000 data sets here. You can search for a particular focus or topic. You can look at the different topics. So let's say we wanted to look at climate. They'll give you more links to different things where you can find things at. Looks like most of this climate data is pretty old, from 2015. So I'm going to go ahead and take a look at something else. You see here they've got coronavirus data. So if you wanted to take a look at that, there is a lot of data out there. So this is kind of the starting place that I like to go to, is the data catalog. And you'll notice that each of these items has a little box underneath it that kind of tells you which format the data is in. I would recommend that you concentrate on CSV for right now, but JSON data is also very good. Text data is fine. Let's take a look at some of the filters that we have here. So we have filters by format. So just CSV has over 23,000 data sets here. And then again, you can focus it by topic and until you find something of interest. Now there's a lot of really cool data in here. There's some data that might be a little bit confusing in terms of what am I actually seeing here. But if you take a look at some of the information, of course, there's a lot of this information that is pretty old, so I don't know that it's going to, be very meaningful to you. So let me take out that education one and see what I see here. Local government. There's a whole bunch of stuff from Allegheny County in here. Um, Stolen gun data. All right, stolen gun data from the city of Bloomington, Indiana. So again, here is these different data sets. Again, it's not necessarily up to date, but it's something that you can work with, and you can download this data, typically in whatever format is associated with it. Anyway, this is one of the places that you can find some data. Another place that I like to look at data is from 538. You might be familiar with them. They are very well known for their presidential poll predictions. But they also have lots and lots of other data. They have a bunch of articles, and this data that they're sharing with you is typically tied into a particular article where they're making visualizations and analyzing that data. And then if you wanted to take a look at the data, you could click on their GitHub account and see the CSV file attached to it. If you click on go to file, this pulls up all of their data, so that one's kind of not real useful. But if you click on the CSV data, that should take you in to the raw data, and that's a lot of data right there. This raw data is basically just the CSV file in its internet website URL. So we're going to play a little bit with that data. We also have data.wa.gov. So many states and cities, counties have their own data website that you can look through the data catalog. They have some new and notable data here on the Washington site. We've got lots of election data, lots of coronavirus data that you can take a look at. And again, typically they're going to share that data with you in some way or another. Some it might just be a visualization. So if you find that data catalog, this is really where you can kind of come in and get lots of different data, and they usually will share, allow you to take a look at, let's see what was recently added. So you can play around with all these different things and find something that's interesting to you. If you find something that's interesting through the data.wa.gov site, they typically have some basic information about the data. That one wasn't a good example because it doesn't have a good preview here. So let me see if I go somewhere else. Driver's license transfers. So this driver's license transfer, here you go. Here is a list of all the columns and the descriptions and what type of data that is. And then here is a little preview of the data that you could look at to see if this is something that looks good to you. Okay, so now that we've talked a little bit about where you can find data, you can either export your data and grab the CSV file, or you could do something where you have the actual raw data that you're looking at, and like we looked at here, the raw data, you can grab this URL to use in your Python program, or you can upload the CSV file that you have downloaded to work with. So once we've got an understanding of where we can get data, we can move to the next topic, which is working with our data with Pandas. That'll be our next video.